Good evening, everybody, and hi, Neerja.
Hello, Vinay. Fireside chat. Where is the fire? Where is the fire?
I think we have a lot of people joining in, so that's where the
Mhm.
fire is going to be set in the comments box.
Absolutely. All right.
Wonderful, so good to be here in this fireside chat with you. And I think last time when we had a conversation like this, it was in the PSAI talk show, right? I think a few months
That's
back.
right. That's
Wonderful.
right.
Great. So we have folks joining in from Mumbai. I can see. Hi, Saurabh, Mr. Balakrishna from Mumbai again. Hi. So we have a few folks who joined in.
I have to say that I'm looking for Anupriya. Has she gone to get the matchbox? I just can't get over the fireside bit. Where is the fire? We have to think of something else for our region.
Yes, Anupriya, you're there. Yes, and I'm sure you're listening to this as well. So
Okay.
Yes, I can see her in the comments box.
Okay.
And yes, so great. So how are you doing, Neerja? You recently you traveled to Bali for the Global Speaker Summit, and then you also spoke at the inaugural convention of the Maldives Professional Speakers Association. So you've been traveling, you've been busy. So how's life been as a professional speaker?
Extremely exciting, Vinay. I have been on fire, and I think Anupriya has put the two of us here because she thinks we have fire in the belly, and we are going to talk about the momentum that we can bring around, help others bring into their speaking journey. No, seriously, it's been very, very. It's been an honor, a privilege, Vinay, to be speaking at Bali and then subsequently at Male. And you were there. You were there too. So you and I have been meeting. It's been like a revolving door, and here we are again.
Absolutely. So, all those of you who have joined us in this show, let me introduce Neerja for you. So, Neerja is the Vice President of the Global Speakers Federation. She's also the past President of the Professional Speakers Association of India and a global keynote speaker on generational diversity. I'm sure we'll be talking about that as this show goes on. So, once again, welcome, Neerja, to the Fireside Chat today.
Thank you very much, Vinay. And it's my turn. Vinay is the president of the Professional Speakers Association of India. He's a global keynote speaker on customer centricity and customer delight. Welcome, Vinay, to this fireside chat.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much. And today, this is a very interesting conversation because we're going to be talking about, or we're going to try and decode the nuances of global speaking to a certain extent, and see how the conversation goes from there. So I am super excited about this particular topic because this is unique and this is very, very relevant in today's context, and also very relevant because we have our biggest annual event coming up, the Professional Speakers Summit, the annual convention of professional speaking in India. That's coming up in Feb on the 21st and 22nd in Mumbai. So there is no better time than now to be talking about that.
Absolutely. And we call it the gala signature event for any association. It literally is the window into what we are about. And given that the theme this time is momentum, it's great that we are going to take it further, extend it, and use it to share on different aspects of global speaking and how we can do it best, Vinay.
Exactly. How do we build momentum into our professional speaking journeys? Because as an association, we have members who are at various stages of the journey as a professional speaker. So for everybody, momentum could mean something different. So we're going to, in this conversation, we're going to try and decode that, and we're going to see if there is a magic code. There is something that, as professional speakers, wherever you are in your speaking journey, how do you go to the next level? How do you build momentum? And after all, momentum is the theme of the Professional Speaker Summit 2025 this year. So
Absolutely, Vinay. And we are here to build momentum. People who join the association and who are looking at a career in professional speaking, I think each one of them, to varying degrees, like you said, wants to build momentum, and the earlier the better. However, there are different factors. A lot depends upon what exactly you want to do in the speaking world. Some of us want to have a very compelling message that we want to share. Some of us do not perhaps have that kind of time. We are at different stages in our lives. So we really have to be able to give them an overall picture in our discussion today and see if it can help them identify the road that suits them best to build momentum in their speaking.
true that, and completely second that. Now, one term that we often hear getting bandied around in our community, in our association, and also in the speaking circles is having our own unique voice.
Yes.
And as a professional speaker, you got to have your own unique voice. So let me ask you, Nirja, that how did you develop your speaking style and your unique voice? Was there any specific influence or any special experience, something that contributed to that? How did that come about?
When I feel that this is not something unique to me or to you, I think it's applicable to everybody. When you arrive at your unique speaking style and your unique message, it is usually an amalgamation of your training, your educational background, your life experiences, your exposure, and finally, that message you could keep working on 24 hours a day if it were possible. And don't say that it keeps you up at night, but it is a message that you can just go on and on, making it sharper, researching it, and figuring out different more engaging ways of putting that message across, because you're so fired up about getting that across. For instance, in your case, you want a customer to be delighted. What is it about that which excites you so much? For me, when my I've always been interested in the young people. That's where the energy and the hope and the future is. And when I joined the PSAI, it was Vikas and Srijata. They were running these activities, the courses to identify your niche. And when I was talking to them, many a times what happens when I said we are so deep into it, we are not able to see what we are radiating, and somebody external can see that. They can identify that
Yes.
this is your core topic, this is what you're about. And that helped me. So it was my experience as a journalist, as a teacher, as a documentary filmmaker, working with young people, and some personal experiences in my own life that fired me up about generational diversity. And styles, unique styles evolve along the way. You have to keep at it. You have to keep at it.
True, true,
How
true,
about
true.
you?
I agree with that because okay, for me, when you're starting out, that's how it happened with me. That when I saw the videos of Tony Robbins, when I saw someone like Les Brown and some of those big names in speaking, when they speak and you see them say, "Wow, you're wowed," and then you say you want to speak like that guy, then you want to speak like somebody else, then you hear. And at the first professional speaker summit, I saw so many absolutely amazing speakers: James Taylor, Frederick Harron, I mean, so many speakers there, and Prakash Iyer. So, and when, oh, I want to be able to narrate a story like Prakash Iyer. I want to be able to,
Yeah,
and that is something. And it took me a while to realize that your unique voice, your speaking style, comes when you're able to speak like that without putting in effort. It has to come natural. You may be now, with the right amount of effort, the right amount of prepping, and putting in a lot of time, you might be able to sound like anybody you
yeah,
want on that particular day or in a particular moment. But can you do that without putting in that kind of effort? If it comes effortlessly, that's unique to you. So that
absolutely.
is, I thought, I used to think that I use a lot of gestures. I take my tempo up, down, and I thought, okay, no, when I look at that speaker, he's not doing. Then I try to, okay, let me just be a little more subtle. I try to do subtle. I did a subtle with a couple of events, but then I realized subtle is not me.
Yes.
I have to, I am my gestures are flamboyant, and I wouldn't want to cut them down, because when I do that, that's the real me. So that's the way I developed my speaking style. My niche came much later, but my speaking style was right there. That if I'm speaking about whether I'm speaking about motivation or leadership or sales or customer centricity, it doesn't matter. This is how I'll speak. So that's the way I
That
figured it out.
that Vinay, is the beauty of this business, this profession, this this art and craft, that you can be completely unique. There is no set pattern. There are speakers who do not move a muscle, and they are able to get their point across. There are others who race across the stage. A lot of things come together when you finally hit that sweet spot where, well, you shine on the stage, and people just stop to listen to you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Recently, I saw a friend of mine who's a professional speaker do an absolutely engaging 20-minute talk without, like you just said, without moving a muscle, standing behind a lectern, and the
Mm.
audience was in splits. The audience
Absolutely.
was in absolute splits, engaged to every second, and he did it so brilliantly. Literally got a standing ovation from people, and he literally tore away the rule book of speaking that you can't, you should not stand behind a lectern and so on and so forth. No, there is no one right way of delivering an engaging talk. There is
However,
no, yeah.
however,
We all build our own styles, our
right.
own ways of engaging the audience.
Absolutely, Vinay. But however, would you agree that there's certain, I will not say dictums, but certain uh, formats or certain factors to keep in mind when you're speaking, let's say globally, talk about culture and the different needs of different audiences. How do you how do you well work on your voice? How do you align it with the needs of the different audiences? Was that a conscious thought in your mind when you spoke at let's say at Malay, for instance, on a global stage? Did you give
Uh,
that a thought?
Two things come to my mind top. That
Hmm.
number one, your stories, your examples, your metaphors have to be relatable to your audience. If your audience cannot relate to them, you've lost the purpose, you've lost the plot. So that's number one. Number two is that there are cultural nuances of each country, each, sometimes even each city. And as a speaker, you have to be sensitive to those. You have to be careful about those. You have to be thoughtful about those. Being thoughtful should be your second skin.
Absolutely.
So that's
Sensitivity.
how I see it. So you
That's
got to,
one, Vinay. And that's
sure.
one, and also culturally, a patience, patience and generosity of spirit. Sometimes culturally, it may, something that you said may have been interpreted in a different way, or there may have been some other interaction where there are some reservations, but you just go into these conferences with a very, very open mind, and no assumptions there. uh, just with this cheer and generosity and an openness, and then things just flow. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think when you speak to different audiences, and even I'm saying, even within the same country, when you're speaking to an audience of students, or you're speaking to an
Yes.
audience of young employees of an organization, and you're speaking to an audience of maybe defense personnel, and if you're speaking to an audience of women entrepreneurs, these are all five different audience profiles. But each of these audience profiles, you will definitely make sure that your talk,
Yes.
it's tailored to that particular audience. They are able to relate to that. But you don't have, what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to compromise on your unique voice to do that. Your
Absolutely.
authenticity does not have to be compromised to be able to tailor your talk to the audience.
Yes. But should we be using some gimmicks to just ensure that you're standing out, or for the sake of attention? Would you say that? Because there's such pressure to stand out, you constantly hear that script around you. And any thoughts on that?
Somehow, if you ask me, and being a marketing guy, for me, a gimmick or a tactic is is something, it make it about your audience. That's the way I
Yeah.
do. Make it about them. So if you're doing a gimmick which is gonna immediately strike a chord with them, I'll do it. But if it doesn't, i'll
Mm,
I would not. That's a very simple yardstick for me that I keep, is that I'll see, and I'll do a small pilot test with people before the talk. I hang around with people. I reach a little early. I try to have as many conversations as possible with people from that city or that audience, and then to get an understanding about them, and then see, will this land or not. If it will not
mm.
land, definitely not. What about
I
you? How
gave
do
my
you how do you do that?
Yes, Vinay, I gave my title a lot of thought for the Bali summit, and I called it generational donuts. And I went so far as to get actual donut fans, and I put them all out there. And then I also try to connect it with how nuanced generational diversity is. And just as a donut can be very comforting, generational diversity, when leveraged, can be a source of a lot of positive outcomes. So if you're trying that, it's a risk. But what's exciting about this whole business is that element of the risk. You know, I encourage people to take those risks, give it a lot of thought, take a risk, and then seek feedback. Feedback is so important. I got some terrific feedback from the Bali summit, which really, really helped me do my next talk better. That's extremely important. And there are very supportive speakers out there who will give you a reality check on your delivery and the talk. Yes.
Absolutely spot on. And let's stay right there in Bali for another moment, because
Yes. Let's go back there. Let's go
yes,
back to light a
yes,
fire there.
absolutely. So let's, talking about Bali now.
Mm.
Every professional speaker, we always want to take our speaking game to the next level, and that involves transitioning from a local speaker or a regional speaker to an international speaker. So how did that happen for you?
Yes. Firstly, cheers to us. Do you see how many international speakers we have in the PSAI right now? There are so many of us going out there. I think that's reason to celebrate, and we deserve to pat ourselves on the back for that. Now, your question was, how do you go to international platforms? International conference speaking opportunities are out there blinking at us all the time, Vinay. It's just a matter of being aware and conscious and just grabbing them and actioning on them. So there are, for instance, the Global Speakers Federation website has a call for speakers. It has all the events listed, the website listed, the theme listed, the dates listed. You have to start these calls for speakers are shared in the community many a times. And I would recommend to every speaker to go looking for them. You don't even have to go looking for them. Like I said, they are there on the GSF website, and start applying. And in any given conference, I'm not very sure about the ratio. It differs from one association to the other. But if your application is compelling, if it's interesting, if you have something unique to say, you will find that opportunities. That's one way to go global. It's very structured. It is available to anybody who is ready out there with it. So that's the way to do it.
And to add to that one point,
Yes.
to that, uh, the be a member of a being a member of a association gives you visibility in the speaking circuit, but visibility alone doesn't help. You got to leverage that, and you got to take initiative. You got to drive your speaking career forward. It is as simple as that. There are no shortcuts, there are no magic pills. Yes, being a part of a speaking association, a speaking community, and being connected to multiple other associations through the Global Speaking Federation. Yes, and like Neerja said, you'll definitely know which association is having an event, what are the opportunities. You'll get to know that, but at the end of the day, you have to click on that link. You have to have all that is needed to apply for that link. You need to have your topic, you need to have your learning outcomes, you need to have your speaker paraphernalia, that I call it, or the speaker assets, that I call it. You need to
Yes.
have it ready to be able to apply. When you're applying, you suddenly get to know, oh my god, I don't have a speaker profile, I don't have a website, and then I start making it.
Surely.
The ship has sailed. Oh
Yes.
no. So you got to be prepared, you got to be proactive, and take initiative to drive your speaking journey forward. It is about taking initiative. So that's what I would like to just add to that.
I want to add one more point to this, Vinay. This is important. Take up leadership positions. It gets you visibility, credibility, and connections that are end up being long term. And that is where the trust builds when you work with each other. I think that is very important. In a leadership position, you are able to learn quicker. You are, like I said, visible, and you have access to people across the globe. You will get into projects at whatever levels they are being initiated and contribute. Be a, I call it when a servant leader, serve, give back to the community, contribute, and don't wait. Don't wait years to get to that point where you begin to start contributing as soon as you become a member. You can do that, Vinay. My first, here I'd like to share. My first experience in PSAI contribution was I did a breakout, I emceed in a breakout room where Srijata was giving a talk, and that was in the Delhi summit. And nobody approached me to do that. I approached them. You have to approach. Don't wait for people to ask you. You say, I would like, is there any way I can help? Is there any way I can contribute? And that will take you to the next step, to the next step. That is a way, another way to get into the international speaking circuit.
Absolutely. And there is a very important role of networking when it comes to building your influence. Now, it doesn't now for networking doesn't come easily or naturally to a lot of us, especially whom when we find ourselves inhibited from talking. It could be because maybe we are an introvert, or we hold ourselves back, that I'm not yet ready, I'm not yet there. But my question to that is that unless you take that first step forward, how do you even know whether you're ready or not? How do you even get ready? How do you even progress to the next level? You won't. So
Absolutely.
when you're part of a speaking association and you take up leadership opportunities, it is when you serve your community, there is no better way. And one of the ways to do that is when you're part of a convention like the professional speakers summit. You could also serve your community as part of the association in multiple national and chapter excom roles. There are so many ways to serve the association. You can run initiatives, you can run so many events around that. And every time you run something and serve the community, your own visibility grows and people know you. And that's one step in that. And then that leads to better networking. So how important has networking been for you, Nirja? Are you a natural networker, or it's an acquired skill for you?
I'll answer that, Vinay. Before I answer that, I quickly want to appreciate a comment that Nina made, and very, very apt. And she talks about the kind of resources, the kind of training, the kind of education available in the PSAI for you to take that next step and to build momentum. So that was very nice. About networking, Vinay, my networking, to be honest, has been through the projects I have jumped into. So it is mostly through work, teaming up with others, playing a role in, let's say, the Professional Speaker Celebration Day, for instance, or the GSF newsletter, for instance, at PSI also in new projects, new ideas, new initiatives. That's where the networking has happened. That's where the trust has built. And we know the theory, we are not often able to practice it. For instance, okay, the theory says that when you go to a global event, do your homework before, look up the speakers. That's great if you're able to do that. I've been able to do it part of the time, I have to be honest, because we're all one woman army and one, man army. We are managing our social media, we're managing our collaterals, everything. Not many of us have experimented yet with a virtual assistant. So do your homework first, then go and do targeted, a little bit of targeted networking, meaning identify the people who are perhaps speaking on a similar topic, who perhaps are in a business in an area that you are interested in, and then meet them and then follow up on that. That is, many of us are not able to do that. So you do build connections and then you follow up. That's how you build your networking, and do some, not some, quite a bit of homework before you set out to do this.
100%. I like the way Kapil has
I know.
summed it up. Contribute,
Yes.
visibility, credibility, connecting.
Connecting.
Fantastic, Kapil. Thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing that. And I completely agree. I remember the first responsibility that I raised my hand was the VP logistics for the Chennai chapter. That was
Hmm.
back in 2021, if I get it right. In fact, and that was during the lockdown. And in the lockdown,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but I remember the debate that you and I participated. There was a Chennai debate that, all right, carry on.
in 2021 during the lockdown, the responsibility of VP logistics to basically was to manage the Zoom account, basically to create
Mm,
Zoom links, share Zoom links, and schedule Zoom links.
very critical. Very
Yeah,
critical.
So that was the, in fact, I think Nina, Ram, Harish, we had a, all of them who were part of the XCOM at that time would remember that. So we had some of the best conversations at that time in the XCOM. And then after that, it then moved on to being the secretary of the Chennai chapter. And then after that, the chair of the speaker committee for the Professional Speakers Summit 23. And then after that is when the presidential term started. So it's been a series of taking up projects. So I completely agree with you. You raise your hand. Sometimes the it really doesn't matter what kind of project, because you can add value in any role. That's one thing I'll always say. You can add value in any role that you grab and do it. Yes.
I want to add a forewarning here, Vinay. You must jump into projects, but remember that our associations are based on voluntary effort. So there is no nuisance value that we exercise on each other or anybody else. So volunteer and be sticky, stick with it, and be prepared. Yes, that's so important, right? And sometimes
Absolutely.
you might find, Vinay, that you look left and right and then you're all alone. You like set out to lead and there's nobody behind you. It's all right. They come back,
Totally
but
all
just
right.
keep at it. Keep at it.
Yes.
Keep at it.
Keep at it, and the wheels will turn. You keep at
Yes,
it,
they
the
do
wheels
turn.
will turn. Sometimes they takes a bit of time, but you keep at it, the wheels will turn, and you will have outcomes. And also, it's a huge learning experience. It's a huge learning experience.
Oh,
Every
can't tell.
single every single role that I've taken up in the PSAI, I have learned more than anything else.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many things that I share is out of the learning from all these years. It's just a blend of all that.
So true, Vinay. It's not just speaking that is coming out of this. It's as a person, you become more, you grow, you evolve, and your maturity, your own emotional stamina, uh, you just are a more evolved person, I think, when you take up these opportunities.
Evolution. Now,
Yes.
evolution. Now, that's that point which I'm gonna put my finger on right now. That when we talk about evolution, now the market, the speaking industry across the globe is growing, and the same is happening in our market also, in our in the Indian market as well.
Hmm.
So now in this, and of course, India is a very trainer, mentor, coach dominated market, where speaking as a niche profession is still finding its feet, still growing. And there is a huge opportunity for this to grow in the times to come, and that's happening as well. We can see it happening. But in that scenario, how do you think a speaker can start working on building their credibility very right early on, in such kind of a market where speaking as a profession, as a business, needs a lot more visibility than it's actually getting? How do you stand out? How do you do that?
First of all, Vinay, I think you need to do your homework quite thoroughly. We have to spend time, literally, a kind of a strategic map for yourself. For instance, I have, I get emails on that tagged conferences looking for speakers. So that is one thing. You get information, you study, and there are members in PSAI who've done a fantastic job of that. They've done their homework, they have put together data, they know which are the associations that hold regular conferences and what kind of conferences and what kind of speakers do they look for. Are they motivational? Is it staff training? Are there corporate retreats that they do? So that homework needs to be done. For instance, we have technology startups now in India. The market has a lot of potential. We talk about the English speaking population in India, which offers an opportunity. So personal development is a huge area. Personal development, there are a lot of companies looking for personal development talks. For me, what I have faced is, and I am seeing, is that your topic also. So, who are the takers for your topic? For instance, for my topic, it's usually the bigger companies, but the bigger companies are also very risk averse. How much of generational diversity do they want to be discussing with their multi-generational workforce? So it's a delicate balance, but you need to train your lens there. And what's in your view? What is your experience? What do you think is our market typical of? Is it a trainer market, facilitator market,
Hmm.
and how can that change?
So there is this podcast I follow and I really like. It's James Taylor Speakers You podcast, and there was an episode I remember listening to it sometime back where Elliot Kay spoke something very interesting. It stuck in my mind, which was be in a crowded market, be more giraffe,
Hmm.
be more giraffe, be noticed for the right reasons, be noticed, be visible for the right reasons. That's important. Not just getting noticed is not exactly the whole thing. The whole picture is be noticed for the right reasons, because a giraffe has access to more opportunities or more food than the other animals. So that's the
Yes.
logic, that's the connection that he, that's the metaphor that he did. And I could relate a lot to that, because I feel that you got to stand out in a crowd where everybody is fighting for the bottom rung. No, that you got to up your game, and you got to have, I mean, it has to be a combination of multiple things, and you got to differentiate yourself as an individual. How are you different? What is the differential value that you bring? Say for example, now you're a speaker on generational diversity. What is that fresh perspective that Neerja the speaker brings to the
Hmm.
huge topic that is generational diversity?
Original
That,
voice. Yeah.
yes, original voice. And
Hmm.
in what way do you shift perspectives in the for your audience every time you take the stage, be it through generational donuts or be it through another keynote? How do you shift that perspective so you keep building layers of differentiation as a speaker? That's what I would, that's what I did for myself, and that's what I would always recommend as well.
Okay, there's one more thing we should be doing. One is your unique voices and standing out. That is fine. But like many of us now, we are on the digital platform, we are content creators, we are turned into influencers, YouTubers, and all of that. I think it's important to support each other also, Vinay, because you want to create awareness of this industry. If we are acknowledging each other's contribution, or let's say each other's post, for it, simple thing like that, post, for
Yes.
instance, that creates that brings it up to into people's eyes, and they notice. For instance, there's a lot of traffic happening right now about the summit, the Mumbai summit. We've done that every time, and after every summit you'll have a whole lot of new members join the association. So I think that is also important. Have your own niche areas, you stand out, you create your content which is original, at the same time as a community
Yes.
support each other, appreciate what the others are doing. That's one way to do that. And some of us are doing it, some of us are not able to do it, so it's in everybody's interest.
Completely agree with that, because one of the common mistakes that I see a lot of speakers do is, make it they make it all about themselves.
Hmm.
No, the speaking industry is a small industry, or rather it's a niche industry, and we all
Yes.
grow when everybody grows. When opportunities grow, all of us grow. So it's like, and when we work with each other, help each other out, refer each other, mentor each other in whatever way we can. And you don't have to be an expert on 10 things to be able to mentor somebody on one thing. If you're good at one thing and you can do that better than a handful of people, you can mentor those handful of people on that one thing. So when you share that, pass that on, and as a community you grow, rather than make everything about yourself. That's something that somehow in a lot of circumstances I see that it backfires.
And what is your experience been? My experience has been that speakers are very generous if you reach out to them, but how at the same time you have to respect their time and efforts, acknowledge the help they have given you. I've received so much help from our members. Praveen has helped me so much. I've reached out one on one, and asked them for feedback. How is it going? How am I doing? So you'll find speakers as a community are very generous. However, you have to step up to it. You cannot expect a speaker to do everything for you. You understand? Some of us make that mistake. We approach speakers, and out of the blue, you will just. For instance, it happened at Male to me, Vinay, when we were out with that cupcake event. that had
Yes.
MAPSA on it.
Yes.
One of the attendees, he's actually a speaker as well. He just came up and said, "Can I be your mentee?" I have no clue what the gentleman does, what he speaks about. And then later, Afif gave a beautiful talk where he talked about mentorship. We are running mentoring programs, for instance. It's a great way to build momentum. However, we have to remember that a mentee has to step up to more than half the work. It's not the mentor's job. You're just looking for guide
Yeah.
guidelines there, but you really have to be doing the swimming, you not on the you know sidelines and just trailing your toes. The mentee has to be doing the work. So that's that's
100.
that's one thing important. Yeah,
100%. And let me just go back to that one point that you mentioned a few names of people who've had an important impact in your speak. Now we talk about those speakers because the speaking community has a lot of people like that, and those people
absolutely.
are remembered in mind. There are many more speakers or many other people who are not. So for me, they were, I mean, being 6 years in the PSAI so far, I can say that I've enjoyed some of the best bonds with the members here. I've learned so much. I was a part of the first mastermind that Praveen ran, and maybe that's the reason how the professional angle to my speaking career took off. I was helped by speakers. I've been helped, mentored, guided by so many senior speakers. Even a word of feedback that you're not doing that right. Why don't you just go back and you know
Yes,
want to do that in a different way? Some people do it in detail, some do it with one line, but everything is so important and valuable. So yes, that makes a huge difference. And the ones who grow with the community are the ones who also grow as senior speaking leaders in the community as well, who
yes,
who take everybody along, who uplift others. So that's the community growth is a very huge element of being a professional speaker.
absolutely. Sharath ran the YouTube challenge, and out of that came my book. He wrote the foreword for my book. And yeah, these are this is the beauty of this community. It happens along the way, but you have to step up and jump in and contribute, and not naysaying so much as actually yay saying. So
Yeah. Yes,
you
saying.
go yay saying, absolutely.
Exactly. Any specific mistakes or missteps that you see new speakers doing, which could set them back in their speaking journey or slow down their speaking progress, according to you?
Okay, one thing we have to acknowledge, Vinay, that we are very public today. We are visible a whole lot. Everybody can see us, from the words we put out in our post, from the pictures we post, and the multiple things, by the way we conduct ourselves when we go for these conferences. So one thing to keep in mind is to always radiate or function with integrity and mutual respect with other
Yes.
speakers, with other members.
Yeah.
Very important. And like I said, respect their time and efforts. That's one. Uh, Simple things. I don't. Those are basics, but I'm just rattling it off because some of us have been put off by people who don't keep their word or who are not punctual or not simple things like not responding to a message on WhatsApp even, or a late turnaround. Sometimes that can hijack events, create problems. And another mistake is expecting too much right at the start. When that happens, when you come in and you attend a conference and you see speakers, they have their collaterals, they have their books, they have their YouTube channel, but that expectation that it can happen overnight, you have to remind yourself that this has taken time. And you gave your talk that was beautiful at Male, where you said one thing at a time, and that really made an impact. People talked about it. So it is a the mistake is, keep your expectations have to be real, and be prepared to put in the hours and have the patience, and you will get there because you are surrounded all around by other speakers who have built up a momentum for themselves. How about you? What would you
100%.
say are the typical mistakes that a speaker might make? Any mistake that
I
has been
think
blinking at you.
yeah, I could resonate with what you shared right now. I just want to add one more point to that, just to that uh, joining a community, for that matter, any community, be it a community of facilitators or speakers or coaches, joining a community is not a magic pill that makes you a speaker or a coach, or joining a community, joining a good community opens the door to opportunities for you. It will give you the tools, which is like it will give you the vehicle, but you got to
Yes,
get onto that, and you got to have the fuel, and you got to drive it forward. Joining a
absolutely.
community is not going to make
No
you a
guarantee.
speaker. And I can say this from my, because for a long time I thought that, I'm part of this, so I'll become a speaker on my own. No, never happens. Reality came and gave me a very rude knock on my door and said, no boss, it doesn't happen like that. So please wake up
No,
and get up, move yourself from the couch and start taking action, because if you don't take action, nobody else is going to push your bike forward. It's as simple as
this
that.
is this is entirely self-driven. This business is very niche business, and it's entirely self-driven. Like you said, Vinay, that the fact that you've joined an association or that you're paying the membership fee, nothing is guaranteed. So
No. You opportunities come to you, you get more visibility, all
yes,
that will have,
absolutely.
all those are
All that
outcomes,
will happen.
but
Absolutely.
you got to drive it forward. Nobody's going to do that for you. If you are driving it forward, you'll find a lot of helping hands. You'll find a lot of helping hands from everywhere. You
Absolutely.
will.
They come.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but the driver's seat is yours. The wheel is
Absolutely.
with you. You got to have the wheel, and then you'll find a lot of people helping you out. And I can tell you that in PSAI there are a lot of people out there who will help you in so many different ways to move forward, but they will not drive the car for you. They will
Yes.
not drive it
Not
for you.
even the
You got to
driver's
drive
seat.
it on your own. So that's that one point which I wanted to add, because that's sometimes we get into that, okay, now I'm part of this, it's a new thing, so let me just join, and then I'll achieve that, I'll become that. No, doesn't happen.
One more mistake, whenever we have to point out, many of our members are highly accomplished professionals in their own field. They have a beautiful track record, they are leaders, they have delivered there. However, that does not mean, may not always translate into immediate, what we call global speaking, because you have to take the time to study this industry, see what the needs are, what the gaps are, and how to prepare yourself to address those. I think there's sometimes disappointment there because people professionals come in and they are speaking in their companies, they're speaking in house, they're speaking in their own unique community. But when they step out into this professional speaking community that we are all talking about today, they suddenly
Hmm.
find that the landscape is different and it's a bit bewildering. So
Hmm.
don't make that mistake. Take your time. Take your
Yeah.
time, but make a conscious effort. Don't dismiss it. Make a conscious effort and study it, and then you'll find your feet very, very soon there.
Yeah. In fact, reminds me of one more point, actually. Let me add one more
Hmm.
point to the mix there. Uh, Take blunt critical feedback, keep the ego aside. That's something that we don't take critical feedback, because we think that,
Yes.
okay, I'm an expert in my own right, I've done so many things, so how can somebody how can somebody tell me, who's not been in my shoes, whether I'm a good speaker or not? Well, people can. And people may not tell you that unless you proactively seek feedback. Every feedback makes you better. This time in Male, after my talk, in fact, I had a long conversation with Kriba, our founder, president. He shared some very very important feedback for the way. Those were tiny nuances, but I realized, but he said one thing very important: those tiny nuances cut your impact down by a few
Yes.
percent.
Yes.
Why would you want to do that? And that still stayed on my mind, and I made a note of that, and I'm working on that so that I don't repeat that when I take the stage the next time. So, but you have to seek feedback. Even people who are very mature in their speaking journey, they seek feedback, and when you're seeking feedback, seek it with a completely open mind, with not an ounce of ego to keep the feedback from coming in. Let the feedback come in, and then you take action on that, evaluate that, take action on that, and then use it to take your speaking career to the next level. But feedback is very, very, very important.
And you will find that sometimes feedback comes from your fans without you asking, also. I've given that kind of feedback a few times and I have received that kind of feedback. I didn't seek that feedback, but somebody who is fond of me reached out and said, "Is it all right if I share some pointers with you?" And I did. And wow, what
Wow.
a transformation it made for
Wow.
me. And I
That's
did
so
that for
good.
another speaker. Yeah. So
Wow.
this is a community we should be able to, Vinay,
Yeah.
honestly, kindly, nicely
Yeah.
tell each other how it,
Yeah.
because we don't see ourselves on the stage, but there are other people in the audience who are seeing us and they can tell us what will improve our impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Small little pointers make such a big difference.
Yes.
The last year when I spoke at the PSS, I was on stage for a short time, and after that, one of the international speakers took me aside and said, next time when you're speaking, don't look up, keep your face at level, because you don't want to show your throat to your audience. You want to show your face to your audience. Small point, but made
Yes.
such a difference, because now I'm consciously making an effort not to keep my face up. Now you will find so many, if you're open to feedback, if you're seen as someone who's open to constructive quality feedback, definitely it will come your way. That's the beauty of our entire community as well.
Absolutely.
Great. And now, talking about the community and talking about the nature that like this fireside chat that we are doing, sitting in two different cities, and talking about it now, most of our brand building, most of our efforts, everything happens digitally, other than the time when we meet people in real. So how do you establish your credibility and authority, because that's very important in a in a crowded market, and especially a market where we are, and this is something which I wanted to also bring this up in this conversation, because this is really important. I feel that we are not only building our speaking careers, we are also growing the speaking industry in India.
Yes.
Both are happening simultaneously here. So, in this scenario, how does the digital aspect affect us? How do you build your credibility in the digital world?
Well, I would say that credibility as a speaker will come from your content that you should consistently be working on, researching, and just a lot of substance in it. Even training, I think, as a speaker, we
Hmm.
have no choice but to be a lifelong learner, and that is what I find very exciting about this business. So doing courses, learning new things. I'm constantly doing LinkedIn live, sorry, not LinkedIn live, LinkedIn courses. I'm in
Yeah.
fact looking to do a course on generational diversity. So consistency in your effort and quality content, and just working constantly to deliver as much value as you can, and using all the tools that we have at our disposal right now, whether it's creating a video or whether it is writing a blog, the books that we write. For instance, this particular Mumbai summit will be my sixth book. It's ready, it's gone to the publisher. I'm
Wow.
just working on
Wow.
yes, just working on the preface. And every summit, Vinay, ever since I joined the PSAI, I've published a book. Every summit. So this is going to be the sixth one. And then I look at Praveen, I look at some others, and the tomes that they've written, and it's inspiring, it's exciting, and all these things to me are addictive. Actually, they have become now. So, is there anything else that you can think of to build your credibility? You asked me a question in a digital sense. I'm not very sure I've answered that. Yeah.
We've known each other for so long. We've had so
Yes.
many conversations. I didn't know that every single summit you've actually,
I
published a
have.
book.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have.
This is
I
so
have.
cool. This is so very,
Yes.
very cool. And this is new. I didn't know this. So, I'm like, wow. And yes, Praveen is on his 22nd book right now, if I got the number right.
It's a race. It's a race. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so he's on a different plane altogether. 21 books done, 22nd in the mix is what I understand. So yes, and yes, your reply makes absolute sense, because a lot of our brand building efforts as speakers, it's all in the digital
Mm.
domain. What we write reflects
Yes.
us, represents us. So when the content you put out there is a reflection of you as a person. So one thing I always believe in is that every piece of content out there that I write,
Mm.
it should represent me. If I do not like the way it is
Absolutely.
representing me, it should not be there. That's my yardstick for putting a content out, be it a blog, or be it a LinkedIn post, or be it a conversation that I'm having up there, or even a podcast interview out
Mm.
there. So that I'm putting out there, there is a certain quality, and there is a certain perception that you want to be associated with the way you are putting yourself out there in the digital media. And you got to be responsible for that. Be it your email ID, be it your website, be it your one page profile, be it your digital download, everything represents you, your brand. And compromising on that is a direct hit to your brand as a speaker. It makes a huge
Absolutely.
difference. In fact, in Bali, that's one of my key takeaways as well, is that it has to be, you got to have an omni channel presence. And omni
Mm.
channel, it should be consistent.
Mm.
In fact, one of our
Certainly.
speakers who's coming for PSS2025, in fact, she speaks on something very, very similar to this, that you got to have a consistent brand presence across different digital media, different social media platforms, and everywhere. You got to be consistent. So that is how you leverage the digital media, or you leverage the digital platform to build credibility and build momentum. And every piece of content builds momentum for your brand as a speaker.
Yes. And do you think we should be honest and come right out and admit that speaking on global stages, nothing guarantees that you will become make huge amounts of money and you'll be the successful speaker. The very, very successful speakers are few and far between. However, if we continue to deliver value, number one, and if we diversify our offerings, that is second, and
Yeah,
if we are able to develop relationships with other speakers, with our clients, so that those are the golden rules for becoming a successful speaker. I think that's important, and we need to keep that in mind and work backwards from it.
absolutely, completely agree. And I think we can now spend a few minutes taking questions from the audience, and also maybe answering a few comments. What do you think, Nirja? Shall we do that?
Certainly, certainly,
Yeah,
certainly.
I see a
Yes.
comment from Midu here, which is, I think, one second, I'll just put it on the screen here. Very interesting. I think asking for feedback needs one to have some amount of courage. I often hesitate, as I feel conscious of eating into someone else's time. So I want to just share my perspective on that, is that when you ask for feedback, when somebody asks me for feedback on their talk or something like that, the first thought that goes to my mind is that this person is really serious about getting better.
Hmm.
Full stop. Dot. And when somebody is serious about getting better, I think, at least I can talk about the speaking community, that people want to help. People like to help, and people share. So please go ahead and ask. I will say 9.9 out of 10 times you'll always get some quality feedback, or you'll get some feedback on what you did and how you did it. So how you failed and how you could get better. That's my take on that. Nirja, what about you?
Only one thing, Vinay and Midhu, just as long as you put your best foot forward first, ask for feedback first, you do your best, and then you ask for feedback. You know, the person who's giving you feedback has to see that, yes, this has effort has gone into it and the homework has been done and some kind of a preparation has happened. Then then that is when it helps the most. And do not hesitate, however, do not hesitate to ask for feedback. Yes.
Absolutely. And I think that's and it's a very relevant point also, because we are here talking about momentum, and momentum is not just about moving forward; it is about moving forward and getting better.
Absolutely.
So
And better,
that's
and better,
and
and
better.
better.
Taking
keep,
one step
keep,
forward,
keep
keep
pushing, keep
yes, taking
pushing.
one step forward, keeping on taking one step forward. That's what momentum is all about, and momentum builds up when you're consistent. Momentum builds up.
Okay, now just again to share, Vinay, in the last year and a half, I have attended seven international conferences
Wow.
and spoken at all of them. It's not just that I just attended, I've spoken at all of them. And how did I get there? How did I build momentum? Again, you apply, answer the call for speakers, get
Yeah.
your things ready, and then go there. It's not easy, Vinay, for any of us. You know, you traveled. It's quite a project to get there and speak, but it's entirely possible. But to get to that point, you first have to build up all your material that you're able to present with confidence and that speak about you. So that's
Yes.
your start point for momentum. Yes.
And I like the comment that Nina has just shared right now. Sometimes feedback has to be brutally honest, so you have to be present. Absolutely,
Nina, from Nina,
absolutely.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've got brutally honest feedback from both Nina as well as Praveen. So now you can imagine, it's as blunt and to the point feedback you will get from them, and
No holds barred.
it's always helped me every single
And
time.
and Nina, why did you say sometimes? Every time the feedback should be brutal and honest.
Wonderful,
A reality check, yes. Okay, we
great,
are over
great.
the hour, it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. We in fact we up over an hour, 8:31. Wonderful. I think that's what great fireside chats are. You don't really see time moving as well. So, but I think that's where we come to an end. Are there any questions? No, I don't see any further questions or points. I think we are good. So, Nirja, if you were to sum up this entire topic in one line, how would how would you do that?
Light a fire under yourself. Where is the fire? Where is the fire? Where is the fire? I'll do the fun part. I'll leave the serious part to you.
Okay, now, okay, I have to think of something else now. Okay, got it. Very simple. Momentum comes when you are not just seeing the end destination. It is
Mhm.
about you taking ownership of making progress towards that destination. Okay, I want to be a professional speaker. I want to be the number one coach in the country, or I want to be do to achieve something. Yes, having a vision of where you want to get is important. That's definitely
Mm.
there, but that's not enough. You got to take ownership of the next step. Okay, I don't have a speaker's website today. How soon can I have
Do
that?
it.
3 months from
Yeah.
now? Yes. And I'm taking ownership of that. Okay, so I don't have a keynote ready right now which I can sell, which I can even pitch to a speakers association event. So which means I got to work on it right now. I last time when I spoke, it didn't go as well as I expected. But I don't know what to improve. Do I have a video of that? Can I share that with somebody and take feedback? So these are just a few things, but there are so many more things that we all can do, which are within us, completely within us, that we can do to make momentum a part of life. That and momentum takes us forward. Momentum takes us forward. It's a self-driven engine. Yes.
Two more things. Two more things. Simple things. One is take up leadership positions in a community, in the speaking community. Do that, please, and deliver in that position. uh, be sticky, stick with it. That is one. And the second part is just be a very nice person. Be a nice person. Be easy to work with. Be respectful for each other, of each other, and um, express your appreciation for those who have
Yeah.
helped you along the way. So essentially, these two things will really light the fire under you, and yeah, you'll be on your way to gathering momentum.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So that's may that be the way for the entire, for not just all of us at the Professional Speakers Association of India, but also for the association as such. May it be the momentum that all of us need to take speaking to the next level.
Absolutely.
And on that note, let
Amen.
me, thank you, Neerja, for
Thank you,
being here, for
Vinay.
being part of this absolutely phenomenal, amazing conversation. Every conversation that I have, we have with you. I think this is one of those more serious ones where it's the one of the the more serious. We didn't crack as many jokes as we normally do, but still,
We usually talk for an hour and a half. Today we wrapped up in an
we
hour.
wrapped up in an hour, and we kept it to the point and very serious. Yes, so
Okay.
wonderful. Thank you very much. And to all of you from different cities who have been here, who've been part of this fireside chat, thank you very much. You've invested 1 hour of your time being a part of this conversation. Your presence means a whole lot to us. And we
Yes. Thank you.
really hope that we were able to add value to you through this conversation. Thank you very much. And see you on the stage sometime soon.
Yes. Amen to
Bye bye.
that. Amen.
Good
Thank you
night
very much. Good
and
night. Bye
take
bye.
care.
Bye bye. Bye
See
bye.
you at PSS 25 in Mumbai, 21st, 22nd February. Block your calendars. See you. Bye bye.
Absolutely. Bye bye.